Welcome, Aquarius, to your 2023 Sun Sign Astrological Forecast. So this is a Western Astrological Forecast for anyone born between January 20th and February 18th of any given year. Aquarius, you have a nice balance of a lot of different types of energies going on in 2023. So let's get started here. So we start the year off with Jupiter in Aries sextile your sun. This is a great aspect. Sextiles stimulate intellectual energies of all the planets involved. It's a harmonious 60-degree angle. It brings about new ideas, problem solving. So when Jupiter is sextile your sun, you're full of new ideas, okay? You are just excited and you're already an intellectual sign as it is. And so when these intellectual energies of Jupiter, the planet of expansion, the planet of optimism and excitement and growth, is conjunct your sun, which is your like overall being. It's your life force, it's your consciousness, it's your ego, but it's more than that. It's like your energetic drive. It's how you manifest all your energies as yourself in this life. Okay, so that's what the sun sign symbolizes in Western astrology. And so when Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is sextile your sun, you are just optimistic, you're full of ideas. This is a great transit for making plans. You're inclined to think big. And it can bring about, sometimes it can even bring about unexpected income. It can bring about luck. So this is certainly a favorable transit. It's also, you enjoy being with people, you enjoy sharing your ideas, and your enthusiasm just sort of bubbles over, like people just can feel it around you. When you're sharing your big plans, people can feel how excited you are. And with that harmonious sextile, they might just want to join in on that enthusiasm with you. So it's a great time for making positive changes. So that's a really great start to the year. And the interesting thing is Saturn, so Saturn's been in Aquarius for a while now, for a few years here. And so I'll talk a little bit about what that means, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice for you, Aquarius. It is exiting your sign on March 7th, and then it goes into Pisces. So it's not necessarily a bad transit, but Saturn is kind of a tough planet. It encourages us to be pragmatic, to look at like our worldly, the 3D world in a practical way. So we have to look at what are our resources, excuse me, sorry, what are our resources, what how much time and money do I have to get these certain things done, and you have to prioritize and be practical, and Saturn really encourages hard work. So it's not like a fun planet. So there are a lot of Aquarians around the world who will be breathing a universal sigh of relief on March 7th when Saturn goes into Pisces. Now, late Aquarians, so let's see, so that's like two and a half more months, and it's been in there for like 3 years. So late Aquarians, I would say born between like February 15th through February 18th, and if you're looking at cusp February 19th, you'll still experience some of this conjunction energy. So I'll talk a little bit about it. So when Saturn is conjunct your sun, you're basically you're looking back around at a 14-year cycle. So, 14 years ago, depending on what stage of life you were in. So I'm discussing this for people who maybe are in like their early mid 30s to 70s or 80s. So 14, and you can also translate it for more age appropriate. If you're younger than mid 30s, go ahead and translate it. You'll get, like, you can kind of look at and see how to do that. But so about 14 years ago, you were making a plan you were kind of in a situation or in a stage of life or something in the environment compelled you to make a pragmatic plan mainly for financial stability, you know, that's sustainable. You were compelled to do something to build some sort of structure in your life for sustainable, like practical stability. And that's what happened about 14, 15 years ago when Saturn was opposite your sun. And so during that time, you know, it could have been anything, right? It could have been, you know, build a resume or build a skill set or build a business or build a network or, you know, a retirement plan, you know, or anything, you know, depending on, usually it's a financially related. But if health is a, you know, a big thing in your life, then it could have been, you know, build like a health plan, you know, a routine, a plan to like keep something, you know, to sustain your health. But it was something to do with being practical and pragmatic. It generally has to do with hard work around money. Okay, so you built something. And now at this period when Saturn is conjunct your sun, this is a time, or has been a time for Aquarius, so the past couple years, and current for late Aquarians, is a time where you have been, or you are sort of assessing, you know, what worked, what didn't work, you know, where am I? So you're taking a pragmatic look and assessing that plan. So that's Saturn conjunct your sun. So if you've been tweaking your 15-year, you know, what was your 15-year plan, and you're just sort of tweaking it or adjusting it or reflecting back on it. And when you, just another reminder, when you reflect back on it, even if you weren't sprinkled with like amazing amounts of good fortune and you have adjustments to be made, as long as you did your best and as long as you learned something, it was a success. And so any adjustments that you may or may not have to make, you make those adjustments with your head held high and just feeling good about your accomplishments, Aquarius. Okay, Saturn's not an easy planet to deal with. And so thank goodness that transits over March 7th for you. So moving on, do we talk about Venus? Venus is in Aquarius as we speak. So this is being recorded, I think, today's January 7th? Oh my gosh, it's already the 8th, Sunday the 8th. So it's January the 8th, and Venus is in Aquarius until January 26th. So Aquarius, Venus conjunct your sun is probably one of the most pleasant transits. Venus is the planet of love and affection. It's the planet of aesthetic beauty, you know, whether it's in nature or decoration. It doesn't even have to be like, you know, physical beauty. It's just like inner beauty, harmony, just energetic harmony. Venus supports mutual attraction. It supports positive friendships, positive family relationships, romantic relationships. And so Venus just brings about that energy of just love and affection. Okay, and I'm resisting singing a song that I sing to my dog. It's love and affection, love. She's really needy. But anyway, so when Venus is conjunct your sun being your overall life force, you just feel this feeling of inner harmony within yourself, you know. And they also say, like, when Venus is conjunct your sun, you're like more physically attractive, and you feel that energy more, and you just feel a little bit more balance and harmony within yourself. So that's a really nice transit that you are experiencing right now. And let's see, and okay, all right. So also just some other nice favorable Venus transits you have coming up. So Venus is trine your sun when Venus enters Gemini from April 11th until May 7th. So trine is a harmonious 30-degree angle that encourages like symbiotic relationships, camaraderie, When you're having a trine with Venus, you may be just more likely to interact in relationships where there's like a win-win, and you might be more of the spirit to encourage like win-win situations. And you might feel a little bit more outgoing than what your normal baseline might be. It's a nice time for reaching out and hanging out with groups of people, or throwing parties or attending parties. And then Venus enters, you have another trine to Venus. When Venus enters Libra on November 8th, and why did I not write? Let me just give you the exact date here. Venus enters Libra on November 8th, and it stays there until December 4th. So that's another nice time. So you can always, channel into the positive energy of Venus, like whether it's in a positive aspect. It's just that those energies are just more, they're in the atmosphere, and you access it more readily and easily, maybe with less effort. And so we also have a nice conjunction. Mercury enters Aquarius on February 11th, and it stays there until March 2nd. So when Mercury is conjunct your sun, and it doesn't go in retrograde during that time, so that's nice. Mercury's in retrograde right now. But when Mercury is conjunct your sun, so from February 11th until March 7th, you tend to have just more clarity of mind. Communication is easier, it flows. You conceptualize ideas and share them with more ease. Mercury is the planet of communication, and so when it's conjunct your sun, your life force, you just find that you're able to communicate more clearly. Also, anything that's important to you personally, that you identify with, you will be more likely to communicate and share with others. So assertiveness is something that if that's not usually your baseline, then it will come easier during this time. It just comes more naturally during this time. And the nice thing about that too, that I noticed when taking these notes, sorry about all the movement upstairs. So the nice thing I noticed, March, February. So oh yeah. Okay, so Jupiter and Aries sextile your sun. Okay, as I mentioned, sextiles kind of stimulate the intellectual energy of the planets involved. So Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism, sextile your sun, which is your life force. And then at the same time, there's that window of time. Yeah, the entire time that Mercury is in Aquarius, actually. Mercury is conjunct your sun, you will also at the same time be having that Jupiter in Aries sextile your sun. So you're really going to be like on fire with just sharing your ideas, and you're going to be thinking big, and you're going to have so much enthusiasm, and you're going to be assertive, and people are going to feel that enthusiasm. They're like, yeah, Aquarius, I'm jumping on your train, babe. Like I'm taking a page from your book. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that together. So just keep that in mind. It's a positive time. It's a great time to make plans and communicate them. The only thing really at all to kind of be aware of when Mercury is conjunct your sun is that they say that, I guess, to also be aware of other people's subjective points of view during that time. But Aquarius don't really tend to have, like, that doesn't seem to be like an Achilles heel for Aquarius. But when Mercury is conjunct your sun of any sign, that's something to be aware of. And then, so yeah, that's what I've got for you, Aquarius. I do want to talk a little bit about Pluto. I was avoiding it. So Pluto can kind of be a tough sign. Less so for Aquarius than for a lot of the tough planet. Pluto can be a tough planet. Okay, now is it technically an asteroid? I don't know, but astrologically, Pluto is a tough asteroid, planet, whatever, to deal with. Okay, it brings about, it can bring about change. So what it does is it can highlight if there are any existing power and control issues that are, especially if they're hidden. Pluto comes and just brings them out into the open. And so when Pluto is transiting any sun sign, it'll go to that energy, and you know, however that sun sign kind of manifests power and strength, Pluto will go in and be like, so are you really powerful, huh? Are you is that power being generated from within? Are you in control of yourself, or are you trying to control others? And if that energy is attempting to control others or not generating that power in a sustainable way from within, from its own life force, then Pluto will come in and just knock that house of cards down. So, but don't worry, Aquarius. This is not something that you're like vulnerable particularly to or prone to at all. I'm just letting you know this is the Pluto energy, okay? And luckily Pluto isn't a personal planet. It's out further. So it's really gonna it brings energy more to like the universal energy. And so there will be some interesting changes as Pluto moves from Capricorn into Aquarius. And Aquarius, you really don't have to worry too much. Just be mindful. Like I mentioned, power and control issue, that's not really like a theme that Aquarians like generally tend to deal with. Of course, all human beings, we all have some power and control issue in our life at some point in some way, as part of human nature, and we work through them, right? And we generally find our control and our power within, and become stronger through that. But if there are any issues around that in any area, yeah, I don't see this being like a problem with Aquarius, but I just have to say it because it is a transit. It would bring that up. It would, and so for Aquarius, if it were something that were subconscious, because it would be more likely to be subconscious. Aquarians are too busy like reading books and analyzing the world and you know, planning things and you know, learning about science or whatever what their chosen field is. They're more into like the intellectual world. They're not thinking about controlling other people. But if it were something that were subconscious, even with like your own energy and how you generate that energy, Pluto will just encourage you to take a look. And Pluto does sort of encourage deep dives. It does. That's just what Pluto does, whether we want it or not. And even when we don't really need it, Pluto will be like, well, you're just going to take a deep dive and reflect because there's this difficult situation, and so now you get to evolve and you know, overcome that issue even more. Oh, as if you haven't already, you know, worked hard enough at you know, being Buddha-like and peaceful and balanced and fair, because that's generally Aquarius energy. As if you haven't worked hard at that enough. There will be something. Pluto's gonna bring something. But don't worry, you don't have to deal with it that much in 2023. So Pluto will be in Aquarius from March 23rd until June 11th. And so it only gets up to about like 3 degrees of Aquarius. So that's early Aquarius. So I would say from January, degrees. Just to be safe, transits aren't exact anyway. They're usually within 5 degrees, but from like January 20th until about maybe January like 25th, 26th, you might notice some of this Pluto opposition. And so just prepare yourself, you know, just get in that kumbaya mindset, you know, be fine with just Pluto does encourage like looking in the mirror and deep dives. But if you're not, you know, if you're not afraid of that, and you have your own like inner strength and your inner locus of control, and you generate your energy from within, you're a strong person, this won't really be much of like a challenge. And even the most challenging planets like Pluto and Saturn, in my opinion, some people think Uranus and Neptune are challenging, but I kind of think they're exciting. But even the most challenging planets, whatever that is to an individual, it really is just to make us stronger. It's just to make us better versions of ourselves. So that's all you're going to do, really, Aquarius, is just become a better version of yourself. You have so much positive energy this year with that sextile to Jupiter and so many Venus transits and Mercury in Aquarius at the same time as that Jupiter transit. And Saturn is finally leaving on March 7th, so you're gonna just breathe a nice sigh of relief. Things will flow really well for you this year. Pluto is just a chance for you to evolve, just take that next step up, you know, in your consciousness and your awareness. You know, really, that's all that is. So just keep that positive mindset, keep that good, you know, healthy, balanced perspective Aquarians are known for, and you're going to have a great 2023, Aquarius. So thank you for watching, and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.